Welcome to another MBS Highway live webinar. I'm one of your hosts, Megan Anderson, along with Barry Habib. And today's special guest, he's the founder and CEO of InstaMortgage, Inc., one of the fastest growing private companies in America. He's also the best-selling author, a keynote speaker, and a host for the podcast Shashank Redemption. He's written many articles which have been published in Forbes, Housing Wire, and Huffington Post, and he's been named one of America's most connected and most influential mortgage professionals. And today he is here to discuss some relevant technology that is taking the world by storm, ChatGPT. And today he's going to discuss how it can help us grow our business and get more done. Join me in welcoming Shashank Shekhar.
Hey, Shashank. Great to have you. So great to have you here, my good friend. We're now in a position of all the headlines are, ChatGPT and GPT-4. And, I found it so fascinating. I've been playing with it. It's amazing. Just in my interactions, I've been able to teach ChatGPT so much because there is a lot of misinformation that it gives you back. And so long as you point it to the right place, it'll confirm it. Say, I apologize for my mistake. I did confirm your idea. And then in subsequent requests, it'll make those changes. So I find myself having conversations with it now. So it's pretty amazing and easy to use. So I can't wait to hear your take on it and give people an introduction to it so people can get comfortable with it.
Sure, of course. Scott, I see you're from UConn, so congratulations.
Yes.
Marty, good morning to you as well. So it's great to see everyone here.
Yes, we have a lot of people tuning in here today. And, to kind of kick this off, people have been hearing a lot about this, but in your opinion, can you just kind of give us a rough recap of what it is and how you've used it so far to change your business?
Sure, and we'll get into the full presentation and talk about it in a couple of minutes as more people are dialing in. We'll give them another minute or two before getting it started. But really, I mean, what ChatGPT has done in a very, very short period of time. I think I have one of the slides where it says it went to 100 million users in 2 months, which is, I mean, unprecedented is probably an understatement. Given the fact that Netflix took, 3.5 years to get to 1 million users. We are talking 100 million users here. The great thing about GPT is it's a general purpose chat. I mean, what the artificial intelligence really came into prominence and made world headlines when Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov in chess. I mean, that was like the first time we, at least I, growing up, heard of artificial intelligence, that there's a machine which can beat not just the then world champion, but probably the greatest chess player of all time. But since then, artificial intelligence has been mostly about building a solution for one single problem. We had Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov, then AlphaGo beat the then world champion. Why ChatGPT is so exciting is because it solves so many problems, and we'll get into that in a second, but that's the exciting part of it, is that real estate agents can use it, mortgage professionals can use it, programmers can use it, coders can use it, a mom can use it, a student can use it. That's the great part about it. So we'll talk about some general uses, but of course we'll try to focus most of the time for us as mortgage professionals, what it means to be part of this revolution and how do we get in early? Because I mean, even though there are 100 to 300 million users probably by now, it has very little of use that I've seen within the mortgage industry. So all of you joining on this call are probably top 1%, I would say, in terms of getting ahead of the industry and trying to understand more about it. So Megan, just let me know when we are good, and I can get into some of the slides, show presentation, and of course I'll show a lot of things live on my ChatGPT profile.
Yeah, you are good to go. You can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, good morning, good afternoon again. I see all of you have joined in from different places. So Okay, this should move to the next. This just Megan gave my brief bio, so I will not spend too much time here. I will move quickly to the next slide. Sorry, next. So before getting into ChatGPT, I want to talk about a couple of AI tools. Not a lot, because the focus really is on ChatGPT, and that's where we want to spend most of the time here. But some of the tools that I have found very useful when it comes to using artificial intelligence. But before that, I want to kind of define artificial intelligence, because this word has been thrown around quite a lot, especially over the last 3-4 years. Anything from everything. I'll give you an example of a mortgage company that was funded heavily by VCs here in Silicon Valley, where I sit. And all they were doing really is taking the credit report, looking at the fact whether someone can do a refinance or do a refinance cash out to save more money because they could pay off higher debt or something. And they were calling it's artificial intelligence powered. And I did not see how it was artificial intelligence powered, because we have been doing refi cash out for, 40, 50 years or something. And there was really nothing that the AI needed to do that. So understand that AI really means something where a machine can do what a human can do. So it can recognize speech, it can make decisions, it can identify patterns. Everything else is really something that the computer has been programmed to do it, and it's able to do it. So it's not thinking of its own, and that's not really artificial intelligence. So just kind of wanted to throw it out there. Now, the 3-4 top tools that I have been looking at, I have been using, Reply is, it generates human-like sales emails in seconds, which, by the way, is powered by ChatGPT, which is what we will be talking about just in a few minutes. I won't get into super long details on these tools, just letting you know that these tools exist for you to possibly try it. Most of them have free trials, so it's easy. Grammarly is one thing that anybody who writes anything, and I guess all of us do, at least we write emails, if nothing else, you should be using it, irrespective of what you studied in school or college. This is something that I have been using practically from the day it came out, and it's very powerful. It earlier only used to fix your spelling and grammar. Now it even does the entire sentences for you. It reworks the entire sentence, makes it sound better. There are 3 other copywriting tools called Copy.ai, Jasper.ai, and Wordplay.ai. Again, if you're writing content, something you should look at. Okay, I don't know why my slides keep on. Okay, this is a game changer for video marketing called Maverick. It's trymaverick.com. So one problem that video marketing always had was that you can't scale it. So email marketing always had the mail merge, where you can say, hi, first name, and send it to your entire database. And the first name gets replaced by Megan or Shashank or Barry. So you can write one email and you can send it to thousands of people, and all of them see it as personalized. The problem with videos is that we have not been able to scale it is at that level, is because if I say happy birthday, Megan, and I can't send it to Shashank, because of course, it just makes no sense. Or I have to record generic videos, meaning I just say happy birthday and don't mention names, because then nobody would know who it was recorded for, and or hope that they would think that it was recorded for them. Maverick changes that. You record once and they personalize your videos to each customer, which is, as I said, is a game changer, is because you can do exactly the same thing with videos that you have been used to doing with email. So you can record one video saying, happy birthday, Megan, but then now you can send it to Shashank and Barry and Marty or whoever you want to, or thousands of people, and it'll change the name in the video, which is quite crazy to think about it, but also amazing, is because now suddenly you have a video marketing, a problem that I thought we always had with video about scaling it. It's something that you can do with Maverick. I'll just do a couple more, and then we will jump to why we are all here for. Udly is an amazing sales coach, like a brilliant sales coach. So if you have been practicing your sales pitch, whether to your customers, to realtor partners, for speaking, if that's something that you do, you can upload your entire presentation in voice on Udly, and it will actually, like a sales coach, it will tell you where you're using your filler words, where pacing is a problem, where volume is a problem, And again, you can try it for free. So if you're trying to get better at influencing, better at pitching, better at speaking, that's something that Udly can do for you. And the last one I think I have is Cortex, which is also just like Maverick is, for me, is kind of a game changer. Cortex takes the guesswork out of your social media post and ads. Cortex will tell you even before you have posted something, what's the likelihood of this being successful, meaning more people engaging with it or more people liking it. Especially if you're running paid ads, it's amazing is because it can tell you what you should change, because it had looked at thousands, if not millions of ads and posts in the past and figured out what does well and what does not do well. Sometimes even making minor corrections like, hey, change the color, change it from blue to green, or change it to different gradient, or use another arrow, use another word. So this will drive your return on investment on your advertisements if you're doing paid ads, or just your post. If you're looking for better engagement, more likes, more comments, Cortex will do that for you. So again, these are some of the probably the most powerful AI tools right now in marketing and sales, and wanted you guys to be aware of it so that you can give it a try, some of it, especially Cortex and Maverick is probably amazing because there are a lot of copywriting tools, but there are very few. I don't think there is any competition to Cortex and Maverick right now in terms of artificial intelligence. And finally, you can generate images if you use Canva, and I'll show it a little later when we go live on my screen on ChatGPT. But OpenAI also has a company called DALL-E, that's DALL-E. They can generate any image that you want, literally any image, even weird ones like a dog walking on the moon or something like that you want to have fun with. So not just real images, but really just any image that you can think of. Which means you can create your own images. You don't have to be buying images from or worrying about copyright issues. None of these have any copyright issues because these are unique images generated just for you. And I know a lot of us use Canva, and Canva came up with that just 2 weeks back. And so all it is really text to image creation that Canva can do, which OpenAI had been working on. Okay, that was first 10 minutes trying to kind of tell you about some of the other AI tools that exist in the market right now, which could be very useful. But the most useful of them, of course, is ChatGPT, something we are talking right now. So let's get into some of the basics first, and then we will get into the ChatGPT Live. So, and I asked ChatGPT this question, by the way, and it said that here is who I am. So I'm an AI-powered chatbot which was developed by OpenAI. Now, OpenAI is a company that was founded in 2015 by Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI. Sam Altman was the head of Y Combinator first, and Y Combinator was the breeding ground for some of the hottest startups on the planet. Companies like Airbnb, Reddit, Twitter, a lot of those companies went through Y Combinator. So he was a president, and he was guiding and mentoring them into growing some of those companies. You can understand his background. He's only 37 right now, so he was 28 when he became the president of Y Combinator. The OpenAI, which is built by them, started in 2015, started getting traction around 2018 when Microsoft put $1 billion into it. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and it uses NLP, which is not neuro-linguistic programming that we are used to. It's natural language processing or natural language programming, which means that it works like natural language, like you and I are talking, you and I are texting. That's how ChatGPT works. So you don't need to learn any new programming techniques, new coding techniques. You could be really, I mean, a 6 or 9-year-old could work it just the way, say, an experienced computer programmer can use it. And that's the power of it. And that's why it has spread so quickly with all kinds of users. This is what I was telling at the beginning of the presentation, that ChatGPT got 200 million users in 2 months. TikTok, of course, was the fastest before that with 9 months, and everything else took way longer than that. That just shows the popularity of the platform. Let's get into some of the basics, because I don't want to assume that all of you have used it. I would want to start with some basics before we get into some of the live training for ChatGPT. So if you've never used it, I'm sure you've heard of it, but if you've never used it, It's fairly simple. It's chat.openai.com. That's the URL, or that's a website you go to log into ChatGPT. The first time you do that, it'll ask you to create a login and password. You can use your Google account to do that. I think you can use a couple of other accounts. It's totally free. There is a paid version for it, which is what I use. So when you see my screen, you will see it's a paid version. There is very little difference between the two, though, other than the fact that the free version goes down a lot of time. So free version just has a lot of traffic, and ChatGPT is prioritizing the paid users over the free users. But in terms of what you can do, everything that I'll teach you today, you can do all of that on the free version. So you don't have to worry about, hey, I need to go in and buy this subscription. But also, if you did that, understand it's $20 a month. We are not talking a lot of money here, and probably very well spent $20. Another question that comes up is that why ChatGPT? Why not just Google? I mean, we have been used to using search engine like Google for decades now. And how is that different? I mean, how can whatever question we can ask ChatGPT, we can ask Google as well. So what's the difference? Understand that ChatGPT is conversational. That's what the slide before this told you, which means you are texting back and forth with ChatGPT. You ask it a question, it answers that question. You can build on that answer and ask a follow-up question. And you can keep doing that until you get the result that you want to. With Google, you can't do that. It's a search engine platform, which means you ask a question and then you have to start from scratch. You have to ask the next question again from the beginning. Second, Google just refers you to websites where the answers are. So you have to go to that website, search for the entire page, find where the answer is, and get that answer. ChatGPT answers the questions by itself. Of course, it has learned from a lot of the same websites that Google uses, but you don't have to go to a website to search for those answers. ChatGPT gives you the answer right there on its interface. So hopefully that explains some of the difference. But also understand this is really important, because ChatGPT shows this as the first screen. So if you're a new user and you just created a login, this is the first screen that you will see. Of course, I'm already a user, so when I show your screen, you will probably not see this. And this is important. Sam Altman has talked about it several times, is that he knows what the limitations are. So he's not one of the other tech founders who are extremely cocky about what they have produced, and they almost never take responsibility for anything that goes wrong with it. That's one refreshing change with Sam Altman, is that he takes responsibilities. And even with ChatGPT 4, for example, he said he tested it for 6 months to make sure that it cannot be used for any, say, not ideal purposes, like dangerous purposes or something. And then he made it live. So one of the biggest limitations really is that, especially for us, because we are trying to get a lot of updated information, is that it has limited knowledge of world and events after 2021. So a lot of focus for the ChatGPT team has been to make it better, make it faster, make it be able to do more of reasoning stuff. And so they haven't focused a lot into feeding it more recent information, because the more information they feed it, the more work they have to do. So they built the entire platform and kind of stopped feeding its data after 2021. So you should probably not be asking questions like, how much did the home prices go up last month? You should be probably using MBS Highway for something like that, because of course, they have the more updated data. ChatGPT does not. And it also occasionally generates incorrect information, and they're very upfront about that. Again, that's something that I like. Google came up with Bard, and Bard said the same thing. It's an experiment, and we will get it wrong sometimes. Which again, for a change, I'm seeing this refreshing change with this technology with Silicon Valley, something that I haven't seen living here for 15 years, is that they are saying we make mistakes, but we are learning from it. So again, don't take every response it gives you. Just don't cut and paste it. Don't just assume everything is correct. Validate it for yourself, because it's important. And it occasionally may produce harmful instructions or biased content, something that they have been trying to prevent as much as they could. But of course, it sneaks in every now and then. So something you should be aware of if you're using ChatGPT. These are the top use cases, which is what I will be showing you live, most of it, hopefully, that I have been using ChatGPT for: social media strategy, social media content creation, email marketing, search engine optimization, mortgage payment and pre-qualification, realtor referrals. And these are, by the way, related to the mortgage stuff. It can do a ton of fun stuff as well. So why don't we jump on ChatGPT itself and show you live? I'll pause here actually for a few seconds before I go into the live screen and see if there are any questions, anything on the chat that I should be addressing. Hopefully this was pretty straightforward.
Oh yeah, it's great, and thanks for giving us some of the other tools that are out there that are using this type of technology. We have been dabbling in some of them, and certainly it's fascinating. And I know a lot of the people that are on this webinar with us, I see I've been watching a little bit in the chat, so certainly there's some familiarity amongst a lot of the members here. You know, Shashank, as I mentioned to you earlier, the ability to work with it and to teach it is incredible, and something that I've been speaking to some people about, and it's a little bit of a concern. So, you know, always got to tread lightly here, because I don't want to be, you know, I'm just trying to say things here. So please, you know, everybody gets so sensitive today. So just please understand, I'm not trying to do anything that leans a certain direction here. I'm just trying to walk a tightrope, but bring up a potential concern. What I've discovered in trying to teach ChatGPT, it will go out, and if you point to a source of verification, it'll confirm with that verification and use it as an answer. So let's just assume that maybe some people think there is more things out there and articles that may have a specific slant. Then if you're teaching it to go to that as confirmation and it comes back as an answer, couldn't ChatGPT almost be look, anything, fire could have uses for being really good, and fire could have really bad uses, right? So I just wonder and worry, could I know you laid it out beautifully, saying that there's mistakes. They've said that, you've reiterated that, but there's people who's going to take it as gospel or use it as their own, rather than, you know, confirm and just kind of use it in robotic responses. Couldn't it develop a bias that is not necessarily true?
Yeah, and that's a great point, and that's why, I mean, Sam Altman and the team, I think they recruited 2,000 people in Kenya or in Ghana just to go through all the possible content that a ChatGPT can throw. But you're right, it could still be trained, it could still be biased at times, and so you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Every new technology has its flaws, and I think that's the biggest one for AI, and that's why there have been, I think, 1,000 people who are big AI pioneers actually wrote an open letter saying that we should probably pause it for a few months and see how the world uses it. So it's interesting. There are a couple of things in the chat that I want to respond to. There are tons of questions here, but before we get into, yes, the chat remembers previous conversations. It actually saves it. So that's good. There are some extensions, and somebody pointed out that Bing has ChatGPT integrated that has up-to-date information, and that is correct. That's why Microsoft has invested, what, $13 billion into it, is because it wants to use it for everything. I mean, ChatGPT will become ubiquitous. You will see it in Microsoft Word, you will see it in Bing, you will see it in Edge, you will see it, everything that Microsoft really produces, and everything will be powered with ChatGPT. So, and that's a big deal, is because Bing was never even an also-ran in the search engine market, and suddenly it's getting a lot of attention because of that ChatGPT integration. So I will come back to some of the questions. I know there are tons of those, because I do want to show you something live here and not just do a presentation. So let's go back. So this is how the screen looks like when you log in. It says plus because I'm a paid version, but don't worry too much about it. Even if it does not, as I said, everything we'll be talking about today, you can do it in the free version, so you don't have to rush and get that paid version. Now, this model is important. So ChatGPT started with the legacy 3.5, and it'll show you the bars here. Is that why it's important? Is because legacy was kind of weak on reasoning, kind of weak on speed, and very weak on conciseness. Then they launched GPT 3.5, which was the more advanced one, and super fast speed. As you can see, 5 bars on that. Reasoning went up just a little bit. Conciseness went up just a little bit. The GPT-4, which was launched about 3 weeks back, or 4 maybe, has the highest level of reasoning, and that's why it took them so much time to launch it, is because it can do stuff which is completely mind-boggling. We won't be talking about GPT-4 a lot, but just to give you a flavor of what's coming, GPT-4 can read images. So you can handwrite image. So OCR technology that we have been talking about for so long, GPT takes it to a very different level. It can read handwritten images and can convert it into whatever you want it to. It has plugins built in. So you can ask GPT to book a restaurant on OpenTable, and for the same dish, you can figure out what the recipe is from Wolfram, and can ask Instacart to order those recipes, ingredients for those recipes from Whole Foods with one instruction, literally one single sentence. Tell it to book a table, give me the recipe for it, and then go and shop for the ingredients. And with those 3 plugins that it has now with GPT-4, it can do that. And these are just first 10, 12 plugins. Imagine the kind of possibilities that comes in with those plugins. That's there. There are extensions, and we'll talk about that. But really, let's focus on default GPT 3.5, is because that's something that most free versions has. All free versions actually has the default version. The great thing about 3.5 is it's the fastest. As you can see, speed, it's 5 on the bar. And for a lot of things that we want to do, we want to see how quick it is. So and it's as simple as really typing a message here and hitting enter.
So by the way, Shashank, so what you're saying is that as a user, you will choose the platform that you want to use?
That is correct. If I want, I can move to GPT-4 and can use it under GPT-4. As you can see, GPT-4 currently has a cap of 25 messages every 3 hours. Expect significantly lower caps as we adjust for demand, and that's why it shows the speed is the lowest on GPT-4. It has 2 bars on speed. So you can do it. If you're trying to do something which requires very high level of reasoning, something more scientific, maybe you're trying to do coding and programming, I would suggest probably check out GPT-4 along with a lot of new features.
And you can only select these if you have a paid account, correct?
That is correct. So GPT-4i is not available to the free account yet. So that's one of the benefits.
The default free account is 3.5.
That's correct. And that's fast enough. That's good enough to do everything that probably you would like it to do. So don't worry about it. Don't get too caught up between different versions. When you log in, it'll show you the default version here. This is as simple as typing a message here and entering. So I'll start with something super basic. Let's say plan a trip to Paris from London for a day. So I'm just trying to use something kind of basic for you to get used to the platform. The day trip from London is not feasible. As travel time will take several hours each way. Okay, so it's telling you, but it's saying, okay, even if you want to really do this, then do it. But I suggest that you probably take slightly longer. So one of the questions was, does it take your answer from the last question? And then, so the output that comes, you can ask it a follow-up question. So you can say, okay, this is great, but can you redesign the trip and exclude Eiffel Tower and also add the costs? So it's taking the answer from the last question as the input to this question. And that's important, is because you can keep refining your answers until you arrive. So you can go back and say, hey, this is Moulin Rouge is something that I don't want, or whatever, and it can keep doing it.
Yeah, this is one of the things, Shashank, that really got me hooked, is the fact that it changes from like a Google experience to a conversation.
Absolutely. That's a big play. And that's why I wanted to talk about Google versus ChatGPT, is because it makes it so much more interesting. And as Barry said, and we will probably see some of those responses, it does apologize when it gets it wrong, or even when it doesn't get it wrong, but you tell it that it got it wrong, it says, sorry, I'll try again, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and then you tell it where to find the right answer, and it'll confirm, and it'll come back. I'm sorry, you're right. I confirmed it, and then it learns it, and then anytime you would ask, or anybody else would ask it in the future, it would come back with the correct answer.
It does, yes. And even the same question, you can ask it to regenerate response, meaning it will give you a slightly different version of the same response. So you don't want to ask it again, but you just want another version of the same question. It can regenerate response. You can stop it somewhere in between. And by the way, on the left is where it saves your chat. So I think there was another question in the chat asking about, does it save the conversations? And yes, it does. So on the left, everything that you are searching for, and I, of course, have dozens and dozens, and it will save you for on the left. So you can go back to it, you can refer it, and you can see what those searches are. So let's take some of those examples that I mentioned in the slide. So I'll go to new chat here, which is what I suggest, that every time you start a new topic, you go to new chat and don't just keep asking, because this is a London-Paris trip. You don't want to confuse it with say social media strategy. And I can delete it if I want, because it may not be relevant, and that's fine. Okay, I don't want AI PRM right now. Let me, by the way, this is, while I'm here, I will cover this because somebody asked me on the chat. This is a very advanced technique, and I didn't want to do it right now, but since it shows here, because I'm going to remove this this plugin in a while. So what this is for advanced users of ChatGPT, but ChatGPT has, or there are outside companies that have built extensions for ChatGPTs. So what it does is that you can have Chrome extension. So you can go to extension, and one that I use sometimes is called AI PRM. So you can just Google AI PRM ChatGPT Chrome extension, and you can install this just like you might have, I don't know, some other extensions that you might have. So you might have LastPass or other extensions that you use. If you do that, these are advanced techniques where what AI PRM and its users have done is that they have created prompts for you. And all you have to do is choose one of these prompts, like human written 100% unique SEO optimized article. You don't have to figure out what the prompt is. They have already figured out what the prompt is. And they're like 200, this is just for SEO, there are 558. If I go under copywriting, there are multiple prompts for that, almost 1,000 prompts for that. So you can choose the topics here. For us, probably marketing, copywriting, and SEO, maybe even productivity, maybe some of the topics that may be relevant for us, and that you can do using one of the extensions. I'll remove it right now. I want to play with. So let me remove it so that I can show you the ChatGPT, the way it works. And that removed it. Perfect. So let's get into some of the things. Let's say, so create a social media strategy for a loan officer in Dallas, Texas, with a focus on first-time buyers. So these are not posts, by the way. This is a strategy. It's like it's telling you what you should be doing. This is not writing you any posts. This is not writing you any content. This is just the big level, high level strategy for you, saying this is how you should be creating your social media strategy. And I won't get into details of this, but really says choose the right platforms, create compelling content, leverage social media, engage with your audience, measure your results. So that's great from a strategy perspective, but I'm a loan officer. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but what do I do next? Because that's a problem, right? Megan has been teaching social media strategy for years, as far as I know. And one of the big problems that she and I have always discussed and is that it's the next step, right? That's a strategy. What happens next? Then that's what happens. What happens next is that we have this block at every stage, right? ChatGPT helps you with that. So it gave you the strategy. Now you can say, create a 1 week social media calendar using this strategy. Says absolutely, here is example of 1 week social media calendar for a loan officer in Dallas, Texas, targeting first-time home buyers. Now it gives you 2 different ideas for every day. Wednesday, actually, it gives you 3. It's actually giving you 3 for most days. which is perfect. So, and you can, by the way, ask us to stop generating at any point of time. If you think you have enough, that's fine. You will realize it's even giving you hashtags to use. So on Sunday, youth self-care, Sunday, weekend vibes, Sunday inspiration. Saturday, it give you, and I did not ask it to create hashtags, but it has. So Friday, it's actually creating a hashtag for every single day of the week and giving you some of those ideas. Now, again, so first block is at the strategy level. Second is at, okay, where's the content calendar? Now you got that. Now the third could be, okay, that's fine, but how do I do anything about this? So let's take the Monday post, okay? Share a blog post about top 5 mistakes first-time homebuyers make and how to avoid them. So I can ask ChatGPT, can you write me a 400-word post on the Monday idea about 5 mistakes? So I don't have to write the entire sentence like Google is, because it's already reading from its content that it generated. And that's the speed, by the way, of 3.5. That's why I'm saying that not all of us need to use 4. It seems as if it knows the answer before I've typed it, because that's how fast it starts responding. It's just crazy is that even if you ask like somebody who's an expert at it, it's impossible for them to come up with this quickly. I mean, I've been blogging since 2009, and you asked me to write something like this. Even if some of these things are basic, I mean, I can't do that at that speed. I mean, let alone even 1/100th of this speed. So it wrote it. Of course, I'm not going to read the entire thing and see how good or bad it is. I'm assuming it's decent. Again, don't take everything it says on the face of it. Just make sure you read it. Now, what I can do is that.
By the way, what a great way to have something that you could start with, and then you can start it to put it in your own words. It's just.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that ChatGPT can be a writer, but be your own editor. That's what I say, is that don't just assume that it's everything that you need to cut and paste. So let it write, but you can be the editor. Now, what I can do is that this is great, but I like, sorry for typing, I like videos better. Can you write a 3-minute script for the same post? And sure, here's a 3-minute script for the same post. Hey there, and welcome to this video about the top 5 mistakes first-time homebuyers make and how to avoid them. As a first, and it goes on and it writes you. Now this is more in a video script kind of a format. So it does all of that stuff for you. And I'll stop generating it because I want it to do something else. This is pretty boring. Can you add a touch of humor? Here's the revised script. Let's see how good a job it does of humor.
Now, if someone asks it the same question, is it going to generate the same response?
It does not. So that's a great question, is because if somebody else is doing the same thing, does it generate the same response? I have asked the same question 10 times, and it has given me different answers every time. You'll be surprised how intelligent it is. That one time I asked it to generate a funny video for somebody in Las Vegas, a loan officer, and it actually referred to things like casinos and buffets and roulette, and it took the geography specific information to create something funny. So again, I don't know how funny it is. We don't have to go through the entire script. Also, somebody asked about language in the chat. I saw that. So this is great. Can you write the same script in Spanish? It supports 99 languages. The last I checked, maybe more, because they keep adding new languages all the time. And there you go. That's in Spanish for you, because I saw somebody asking that question about what languages it supports. And you can write it in other languages, of course, whichever language your clients come from. And hopefully it's doing a good job. I don't speak Spanish, but I'll stop generating it. That's just the first example on the slide. So remember on the slide, I said top usage, and the top couple of them were social media strategy. And even if you do just this, I mean, we can keep going on and on with this and the kind of things that it can do. It can write you Twitter post, it can write you LinkedIn post. So same post, you can ask it to say, write it for Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram differently with different hashtag. And it'll figure out what kind of audience you're addressing on those different platforms, and it'll change your post based on that, and will give you different hashtags for those.
Hey, Shashank, how about can it do some mathematical computations effectively?
Let's see.
So let's try this. Let's just start basic, and then we'll do something really advanced. So, can you give me a payment on a 30-year fixed mortgage for $100,000 at 6%?
Can somebody else try it on the calculator? Let me know. 599.
Yeah, no, that's right. No, I knew the answers. So that's what I was saying. Okay, so now let's do this. How much money would I save per month if I refinanced to a 5% rate?
If this loan was refinanced to a 5% rate, what will be the new mortgage payment? The savings. So this one is assuming that the loan has already been paid for 5 years, by the way, which we can go back and tell it, no, it has not been. But it's thinking it took you 5 years to refinance. And so the crazy part is that it takes the mortgage payment based on the 5% rate at the then mortgage balance, which is amazing. But let's ask it something more complicated.
I'm just saying though, I mean, I think we're getting a lot of people like have eyebrows raised in the chat. I'm seeing you like, holy whatever, it's like, yeah, I thought this would be an interesting example for us because it's a lot more than just right. It's really quite amazing what it does.
It is. So a lot of people, by the way, and this is a real life example, right? Somebody will tell you, hey, I don't remember what the current balance is. I took a $400,000 loan. I bought this home in 2008 or whatever. So can it go back in time and do that same amortization is what I want to test. So say this loan was taken in March 2008. What will be the current loan balance? And by the way, it gives you the formula to do that. So if you are designing something like we are working on a cool amortization thing for a tech product, and we actually use the formula from ChatGPT to do that because we did not know how to go back and do something like this. So it says rounded to the nearest cent, $79,997.19. And of course, it can amortize in the future. So somebody tells you, hey, what will be my mortgage balance 5 years from now? That's something that it can do. By the way, something super cool, which you can go unnoticed sometimes, is that it even assumes that you are not making the payment the same month, because the same month that you closed. It assumes next month, but you can teach it to say that it could be the month after. Like if it closed in March, the first payment could be in May and not in April. But at least just the part that it assumes that the first payment was next month, I think that's pretty cool. I'll do one more thing on this because we are on this topic before we move somewhere else and say, what will be the monthly income required to qualify for this loan if the housing ratio allowed was 40%? Let's see if we can figure that out. We can use the housing ratio, which is the percentage of borrower's gross monthly income that can be used to cover housing expense, including the property tax and insurance. We also need to include an estimate for property taxes. So that's another, so I didn't tell it that what is the property tax or insurance. I did not even tell GPT that property tax and insurance has to be included in housing ratio. I actually thought it'll just take the mortgage payment and we'll divide it by the debt to income, the housing ratio to come up with the monthly income. I honestly thought that's what it's going to do. But it's really cool that it said that, and by the way, it even came up with its own idea. I don't know where it came somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, it knows the underwriting guidelines. I
Yeah.
saw that because it was typing it. I was like, whoa, it is really smart. And remember, this is 3.5.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I listened to, by the way, hat tip to my dear friend Tim Brahim, who put me on to a 2-hour podcast with Sam Altman, which I thought was fascinating. He wasn't even proud of 3.5. You know what I'm saying? He was like bashful about it, and this is what it does. So I can't wait to see when they get the speed up on 4.0 what that would look like, you know?
So how easy would it be to figure out 200 pages of FHA handbook? Let me give you an example. So when they launched GPT-4 in the live call that OpenAI did, they fed, and this was live, by the way, they fed GPT-4 1,200 pages of IRS code for filing taxes. And it asked a very complicated question. We are not talking about a W-2 borrower who makes $100,000 a month and how much home they will qualify for. An extremely complicated question that they say even CPAs struggle with. It took it a little bit longer. I think it took it about 15, 20 seconds to figure out. It gave the response. It referred to the IRS code that it was using to calculate that and gave a full calculation of how it arrived at that response. So if it can figure IRS tax code, which we all know even CPAs struggle to, then I don't think it'll have too much problem. And that's what we at InstaMortgage are trying to work on a chatbot powered by ChatGPT and trying for it to learn all the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA and VA guidelines, and hopefully share with the community when we get there. But that's what it's capable of. So this is,
guys, and that's what I just want everybody listening here, and it's great. Shashank, first of all, thank you so much, because what you're doing here for us is a great way to explore this. And I've even seen some people say that they've been to other kind of trainings on this, or understand. They say this is so much better. It's pretty cool. And somebody just did it with me. With me, I see they put me in there. There's actually a lot of stuff on me on there. It's kind of scary how much it knows. Thank God it's all good stuff. Thank God. But I want everybody to just think for a minute. It depends on how old you are, of course. But once you go back to 1995, right? In 1995, the internet was just born, okay? And what things look like, what computing power was like, what things were like to be on a dial-up and watch your screen painted. I mean, that's what this is right now, okay? I mean, that's what this is. And we know how we are so dependent on everything's on computer. Everything is on the internet. Everything's in connectivity, and how fast things happen. We still get impatient if it takes 4 seconds to get an email on a different part of the world, right? What the heck is my computer broke? It's 4 seconds. I didn't get the email yet, right? But I mean, you think about how dependent we are. I look at this, Shashank, you tell me if you agree, but what it is today is, I just can only imagine what this will be like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. Like the internet's, 28 years old. What will this be like? Can we even imagine it?
Yeah, I totally agree. This is probably the greatest invention since internet or iPhone, depending on which way you look at it. Bill Gates said it's the greatest invention since graphic user interface, because that's what put all the desktops on in everybody's home. But you're right; it's nearly impossible to even imagine what it can possibly do. GPT-4. I mean, I would love to come back in about a couple of months when it's actually back to its full potential, because a lot of things that I have seen and I can't access it right now because a lot of it is on wait list, but a lot of things that we do with OCR, a lot of things that we do, and we are talking mortgage specific usage. I'm not even talking about those cool plugins and everything else that they have, but you are getting really the front row seat on this thing, which will be the big play. I mean, this is something that you can use for marketing, for productivity, for getting more realtor referrals, and I'll talk about that in the next couple of minutes here. But as the time progresses, really, you can do practically anything from here. Of course, you can do all the fun stuff. You can plan your kid's birthday party. You can plan your anniversary getaway. You can plan your entire wedding. ChatGPT, including the location, and ChatGPT will give you some of those ideas. So you can do a lot of fun things with it. But let's talk about one critical aspect of us.
I want to make sure that, we've got 1,500 people and maybe more because whatever, and people will watch this, Shashank, but if you're listening to this and some of this is like, a little bit, foreign, you need to embrace this. Okay. I mean, you need to embrace this, look, I always try and push myself, and for someone in my age demographic, I think it's really critical. I've always been a tech person and try and do that. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your experience. You need to embrace this because this is where we're going. This is a glimpse of what is ahead. And I think to ignore it or to not engage and learn about it, I think it's a mistake. I think you need to push yourself to learn as much about this and to familiarize yourself with it as possible. I'm going to really almost insist that you go on and you have a conversation with this thing. If it's awkward to you, just ask some questions to it. You'll quickly get the feel of it. You'll be shocked at how intuitive it is. Am I right, Shashank? It's like amazing how quickly I was lost the first few things I put in. Look, I'm not a rocket scientist. Okay, I go in the thing. I'm not a computer programmer. I was lost, but I stayed with it and I asked some questions. And then just like it was learning, I was learning. You need to do this. Okay, you really need to do this because this is where we're heading. I did a lot of deep thinking about what all the applications for this is. I think this is where you're going to wind up going for the vast majority of things and tasks that you're going to do. I could see plugins with Amazon for ordering things. I could see when you want to watch something on your Netflix account, you're going to go here, find me a movie, find me a comedy, do this. And I think that these interfaces, this is where we're going. And you need to be on the cutting edge of this because whether it's business or personally, you need to because something happens if you stay behind and then the gap becomes harder. I just watched too many people as they couldn't even work a mouse if you watch some people, right? Or they didn't know how to use email and they ignored it and they wound up falling way, way behind. You don't want to do that.
And speaking of kind of falling behind, I want to mention two things. One, we've talked and scratched the surface of so many things, but Shashank was kind enough to give us a free download of his ebook. I put that in the chat box. Make sure that you download that. You'll be able to look at that, do step by step with that. Now, also, there's been a lot of comments in the chat box that I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on about, is this tool going to ultimately replace loan officers?
No, the answer is a very resounding no, and I'll tell you why. One is because, first of all, let's understand the history of technology. Barry mentioned the internet, but a lot of prop tech companies came at the beginning of 2000, Zillows and Redfins of the world, and the biggest headline was that real estate agents and loan officers will go the travel agent's way and the insurance agent way. And let me give you a quick data. In the 1980s. About 82% people were using real estate agents to buy and sell homes. Any wild guess what that number is right now? That's 88%. So the number has gone up in 40 years with all the technology that has come in instead of going down. So I don't see us becoming irrelevant because of ChatGPT, but people who will use it, again, going back to Barry's point, it's probably the easiest thing you will get to use. It's easier than typing a Facebook post because when you type that, you think people will see it and judge you, and you're not sure you want to press that enter. But on ChatGPT, it's between you and ChatGPT. It's your best friend. Nobody knows your secret. You can type whatever you want to. It'll give you a response. You don't like it, you can ask it again. So it's a very low risk environment for you to test it. And two, get ahead of it because you can get ahead of it now. And everything that I'm teaching you and what's in the ebook, if you get to implement it, you are ahead of probably 98, 99% of the industry. So the earlier you do the basic things now, then when GPT-4 becomes optimal in its usage, you have no idea what it can do. And at that point of time, you don't want to learn GPT. You want to learn it now.
And hey, Shashank, I know that there's more you want to talk about. I'm just looking at the clock here, and I want to we want to support you too, buddy. I mean, you've always been a great friend. How do we support you? How do we help you? I mean, the community here at MBS Highway, what can we do to show support and love to you for helping us with this? And we want you to come back with follow-ups on this for us too.
Yeah, I will. Let me finish a couple of these things in the next 2 minutes. I really just have a couple of slides, and then I'll come back with the support that the community can give. But let's look at this, because this is a very, very important slide. Something that I can tell you less than 0.1% even of power users do it right now. It's the old internet thing, right? Garbage in, garbage out. We have been taught about that from day one. It's the same thing about ChatGPT can give you killer responses, like amazing responses, but you need to ask the right questions. And that's the only thing that you need to learn about using ChatGPT, because everything else, it's so easy. And this is the anatomy of a perfect prompt from me, which I have perfected by doing, I don't know, dozens of questions, which is if you ask it in this format, you are going to get the best results. And if you nothing else, take this away from this presentation, which is you start with persona, meaning you tell ChatGPT who you are. So I am a loan officer in Dallas, Texas. I'm a real estate agent in Las Vegas, Nevada. Whosoever you are, tell ChatGPT who you are trying to impersonate or who you are. Give it the context or the constraint, meaning I work with first-time home buyers, but I do not work with Gen Z demographics. So whatever is the context or the constraint or both, if you want to give it, what's your goal? Do you want more engagements? Do you want more people to open your email? Do you want more people to persuade to use your services? That's a goal. And the final thing is the format. Do you want a post? Do you want a social media hashtag? Do you want a video script? And what's the length of it do you want? Do you want 400? And you saw me using it, right? I first said 400 words, then I said 3 minutes, and then the style of it. Do you want more authoritative style? Do you want more humorous? Do you want more casual? The more information you will give it, the better result that you will get from it. So if you follow this template of asking questions, and you don't have to do it every single time because some questions are pretty straightforward, but if you start your conversation with this, you are going to get brilliant results from ChatGPT. And that's one, probably the last thing I wanted to throw here. And then Megan mentioned this, ChatGPT4lenders.com. Download the free book. Really no strings attached. There's nothing that I'm selling in this. It's absolutely free to you guys. And
hey, Shashank, put up that format one more time for everybody, because I think that was brilliant.
And someone had also mentioned, can I share this with my real estate agents? And you can, but in the green room, we were talking with Shashank, and he is going to provide even more value for MBS highway users. As you guys know, we have Presentation Expressway, which is a tool for you to put on presentations, done for you slides, done for you. You can watch him give the presentation to feel comfortable and confident. So he's going to put together one for us that you can actually present yourself to the real estate agent. So stay tuned for that. And Shashank,
but Megan, by the way, you deserve a lot of credit for that, because that was a great idea by Megan, and she's always thinking about you guys. And I think that is going to be awesome, because rather than you just share this, do it in the Presentation Expressway format, learn it, and then you be the source, and then people will be coming to you. So, that I think is going to add great value. So please be on the lookout for that as soon as it's ready. We want to do it right, so be patient, because this is about, we want to get it out quick. We want to get it right for you. The format's got to be right for you. There's going to be some slides that you could share, and a huge thank you to Shashank for doing this.
Sure, and that's, again, just like everything else MBS Highway does, that's tried and tested. I did exactly the same thing. Got 383 real estate agents registered, out of which I only knew 155. So you can imagine, we got almost 225 people that I've never seen, met, or heard of. So those were new contacts for me. And you guys will be using exactly the same format and exactly the same slides. So hopefully you can get similar results with your own presentation.
Absolutely love it. Thank you for your time today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time.
Yeah, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. My dear friend, Shashank, thank you. You bring so much value to everyone. And we just want to thank you from the heart for being just such a good friend to me, such a good friend to all of us, and sharing your wisdom with all of us, brother.
Glad to do it. I mean, it's just paying it back to everything MBS Highway does and its members. So thank you everyone for attending it.